Hey, welcome in YouTube and everybody out there. It's your buddy Choppadong. I am coming at you with a quick NHL slate breakdown. Today we have 7 games. So we're going to dive in really quick and I'm going to show you the fastest way to possibly break this thing down. It's going to be 10 minutes tops. So grab a pencil, grab some paper, let's sit down, let's get to it. But of course, first of all, I represent DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for everything daily fantasy sports, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, doesn't matter, hockey, tennis, whatever. I'm a senior coach and contributor here at DFSArmy.com, and of course I would encourage you to become a VIP by clicking the link in the comments section, DFSArmy.com. Use code CHOP, C-H-O-P, trigger that 20% off discount that stays with you for the life of your membership, and get your price grandfathered in case our prices ever go up, yours won't. Unlock all the tools, the Domination Station Optimizer, the coaches' cheat sheets that are doing the heavy lifting for you, as well as videos like this that teach you a little bit of the fundamentals of a research process that can get you started in a brand new sport if you've never played it before. So, that said, let's dive in and let me show you what I've been doing. I'll show you the tool really quick. It's yesterday's information, but you've got several pages here with all of the numbers you could possibly look at. I take the goals for and I add them to the goals against of the opponent, and that gives me a matchup score. In this case, 2.39 plus 2.59 would give me what? 4.98? So that would give me a 498. I'm actually rounding to the 10th, so it would be like a 498 would be round to a 500, 5.0, 500. I do that for every single team. I could do shots, but I'm really just doing goals. The problem with hockey is it's a very, very heavily weighted event-based sport that gears towards goals and assists. So we need to know who's going to get those unpredictive goals because they're not very predictive. What we look for predictivity, or I guess it's a word, predictivity, would be shots on goal and blocked shots. That's our floor. So we can look towards statistics pages on these skaters, and we can start looking for a shot on goal plus blocked shot floor that is going to introduce us to finding the activity and the guys that are doing the producing on a night in and night out basis. And we can take all of these guys and we can flood them onto our teams. And this is where I'll look for my one-offs right now. And it's also where I'll look, whether it be season-long samples, 10-game samples, or even 5-game samples. I'm looking for a shot on goal, block shot floor. I'm looking for a shooting percentage to show me who is currently getting the results. Who is scoring the goals? Those are the people that I want. In my, if I scroll back over here to the left, I can take these teams out a couple of different ways. Let's just pick Minnesota at random. And I'll show you, I can take Minnesota, focus on the scoring line or focus on the power play. Once I've got those players filtered out, which I show you in some other videos, but today we're just going to blow through the slate and show you really quickly the results. I can focus on stacking the power play 1, I can focus on stacking the power play 2, I can focus on stacking line 1 or line 2. Lately, I've been looking at line 1 and line 2 instead of the power plays. Sometimes I'll do the power play, sometimes I'll do line 1 and line 2. Why am I doing line 1 and line 2 lately? Because they're on the ice more often. About 20% of your goals come from the power play, and it's nice to get that power play stacked up, especially when you can get a guy from line 1 and a guy from line 2. But to be honest with you, you can also stack up line 1 at even strength and get power play 1 and power play 2. So I would rather have the guys that are on the ice 80% of the time versus the guys that are on the ice 20% of the time. That way when they score goals, it's nice for me. I've got better access to those goals by running those forwards out there, overlapping with some defensemen who obviously play with line 1 and line 2 kind of equally. And that is giving me a chance to spread my net. I'm taking the stack that I want, say it's Minnesota tonight, and I may take, say I'm looking at, they're in a very, very good matchup. I would love to have 8 lineups of them tonight. So I will use our optimizer to run 4 lineups of line 1 and 4 lineups of line 2. And I will use my unique players setting in the optimizer to mix and match those up to where it's not all the same 4 guys in the stack. Some of them vary piece by piece, and that gets me a little bit different exposure. Now, if Minnesota goes off tonight and scores 6 goals, I've got access to line 1 in a few lineups, access to line 2 in a few lineups. Doesn't really matter to me. Something's going to hit. That's covering your bases in NHL DFS in a nutshell. So let's show you the results for tonight. I go over to a special spreadsheet that I made up. It's very, very simple. You've got the teams playing tonight. You've got the matchup scores. Green is bad, or green is good, red is bad. You've got the top 5 stacks tonight. You've got those over a 3.4 implied team total because honestly, those implied to score over 3.4 points historically have teams with skaters on them that make value more often than anywhere else. So it would make sense we stand we stay in those stacks as best we can. Here are my stacks. Here are the specific stacks. Very, very simple. Free video. You're not getting a lot of depth out of me. If you want the depth and you want the research, the strategy, the I guess the sneaky plays, whatever, because I'm going to come back and maybe do some one-offs or something later for VIPs. But if you want those types of things, you got to come inside, unlock the coaching. The coaching is very easy to unlock with VIP pricing. DFSArmy.com, coupon code CHOP. Minnesota and Toronto, 53 matchup score, 67 matchup score. What I'm doing is I'm adding those goals for and goals against over the last 5 games. That's telling me who's hot right now, who's not right now, who's playing good defense right now, who's not. And if I have a team with a low, I should say a high goals for, and they're facing a team with a high goals against, their matchup score is going to be through the roof. Conversely, if I've got a team that can't score a goal going up against a team that's playing good defense, I'm going to have a very, very low matchup score. And that allows me to evaluate these matchups across the slate and hopefully get in on the right games by narrowing it down. I can't pick the top game of the night. I don't know which one's going to be the top. I could probably pick 3 of them and have good chances and rotate stacks in and out through there. And I'll show you another video if you haven't already seen it another time about how to set up the domination station and get those stacks rolling for you. Minnesota and Toronto. Toronto's in play at 67. Over 65 is pretty good. Over 70 is great. Over 80 is really, really big. Over 90, and I've even seen over 1,000 already this year. Those are monsters. Tampa Bay 74 is in play. Montreal is in play at 67. Both over 65. Could be a shootout. 57, Winnipeg 47. No thank you. This is partially because Winnipeg hasn't been scoring a lot of goals, but partially because Arizona has not been allowing a lot of goals, which is crazy. I wouldn't expect them to be that way all year long, but as of right now, that's what we're getting. Philadelphia, not a lot of offense right now. Calgary, 64, kind of in play. Maybe, maybe not, whatever. Not one of the better matchups on the night. Detroit, 57, Vancouver, 58. Can probably pass on that game outside of maybe some one-offs that we might find. One-off would be a player that's not in a current stack that already has a very, very high shot percentage and is shooting the puck a lot. I would gladly take them as one-offs and mix them and match them with my stacks. That'd be perfect. Looking at Nashville and Vegas, 67 and 66, possible shootout there because both teams are pretty equally matched. Both teams are scoring. Both teams are allowing a little bit of goals against. Nashville definitely in play. Vegas is also in play. You see them listed. Here's my last one. The difference between 64 and 67 isn't much, but you got to draw a line somewhere. So I'm not going to take more than 3, 4, 5 offenses on a given night most of the time because it doesn't allow me to 20 max. If I was running a full 150 max, I would have all sorts of crazy stuff from most of the teams on the slate. Carolina tonight, 81 is the highest on the slate, period, end of story. They're in the best matchup. LA's given up a ton of goals against. Carolina is scoring goals for. So there's your top 5. Carolina, Tampa Bay, a little bit above the rest. That's why I put the gap in there. And then down here in the mix, Toronto, Montreal, Nashville, Vegas, and possibly Calgary. Over 3.4 implied total. Tampa Bay, Toronto, Vegas, Carolina. No specific order there. I just threw them in there. And then I'm looking at the stacks. If I started with Carolina, Zingle, Haula, Svechkin, Teravainen, Hamilton, Pesky. These are teams. They're weird. This is a hard team to stack because when I look at the teams or the players that are the most active on these lineups, they're all over the place. There isn't a single line that is rolling well at all 3 spots. It's kind of one guy from this line, one guy from that line, another guy from this line, another guy from that line. So it's hard to correlate them. That would be when you might go to the power play. But when I looked at the power play, it's not exactly doing damage. Power play unit 1 isn't exactly doing damage either. So I just kind of pick the guys that do overlap a little bit, and I'll mix and match those guys and try and get the best scoring possible. Hopefully with a defenseman connecting them like Pesky or Hamilton, then I do get that link that would get me an assist on a goal and kind of get me a little miniature stack slam. Really what I'm after, to be honest with you. Tampa Bay, Stamkos, Kucherov, Point, Hedman. That would be one stack, kind of like the top line stack. It's very expensive. It's going to be very hard to get. You'd be punting everywhere else if you threw all 4 of those guys in stacks. So you may have to limit that stack to maybe 2, or you may have to overlap it with a value play off of another line, off of somebody else. Line 2 would be Tyler Johnson, Palat, and Shattenkirk. Shattenkirk's shooting the crap out of the puck right now. Definitely worth a value. If you overlapped him with Stamkos and Kucherov, It'd be okay. It wouldn't be perfectly aligned like on the power play one, like a Hedman would be, but it would save you some money. So it's worth considering. Toronto, Johnson, Matthews, Nylander, Riley. That's the top line and top, kind of like the top power play stack. And then the value stack would be Kapanen, Tavares, Marner, Kerfoot, Muzzin. I'd be hesitant to run like Hamilton and Pesky, Kerfoot and Muzzin in the same stack because our optimizer is going to see the value that those defensemen bring to the table, and it's going to load them both up and say, "There's part of your stack." So you would get Kerfoot, Muzzin, Tavares, Kapanen instead of Kapanen, Tavares, Marner, which is what you would want for upside. The double defense thing can work, but the double defense thing, I mean, it seems to hold you back most nights. I would rather have two defensemen in my lineup from different teams, kind of quarterbacking power plays if possible. And it's hard to set the optimizer up on that without spending a lot of time with it. So that's kind of tip number two, which is you're going to get out of the optimizer what you put into it. You're going to have to run it again, do some tweaking, run it again, do some tweaking, run it again. Those that do well in these sports are those that put the time and the effort in. That's why I recommend coming in, getting some coaching, talking to the experts playing the sports back and forth, back and forth. It's that conversation, and it takes time to have that conversation to ferret out the information that you need. But once those coaches start kind of dropping pearls, your game takes leaps and bounds forward because they do know what they're talking about inside the Army. Montreal's another weird one. All three lines are in play. Tatar, Denault, Gallagher, Weber would be kind of like a top line stack. Lekin and Druin. Wheel, Petrie would kind of be a second line stack. Druin, Kokani, Armia, Weber, Petrie would kind of be a third line stack, but these kind of overlap on some of the power plays. They're really kind of all in play though. Weber and Petrie would kind of overlap these guys as well as Petrie would overlap, Tatar and Denault and whatever, but you're kind of going to be mixing and matching. You just try to stay correlated as best you can. These are not black and white stacks. These are stacking ideas that are focused on the offenses of the top line and the second line and maybe the third line if the third line's been active and getting results. Nashville, Johansson, Arvidsson, Josie, Ellis. Again, be careful with this double defense. Forsberg, Duquesne, Granlund, Ekholm, and Ellis. Double defense again. If you wanted to run Johansson, Arvidsson, Ellis, fine. Johansson, Arvidsson, Josie, fine. Forsberg, Duquesne, Ekholm, fine. Forsberg, Granlund, Ellis, fine. Even Forsberg, Granlund, Josie's probably fine. Especially if Forsberg's on the power play one, because what you're getting is a little bit of overlap, and you're not getting a ton, you're not getting perfect overlap, which is what you kind of look for in these GPPs, because when you get a goal, you want both assists, but it's definitely something that you're looking to overlap at least a little bit. The less you overlap, but still overlap a little bit, those can start leaning a little bit more towards cash type plays, league type plays, 10-man leagues, 20-man leagues, head-to-heads, that type of thing. If you play that style in hockey. I play a lot of GPPs in hockey. I'm trying to learn MME, which is branching out and building lineup after lineup after lineup after lineup after lineup and taking more and more and more shots and hoping that one of them gets the right mix, but building around a centralized core of units, blocks, I call them, a block of 5, a block of 10, a block of whatever, and then pushing, hopefully when that stack hits, boom, it pushes everything over the money line, and then it's a matter of which one-offs did better than the other. Vegas, last stack of the night, Marchessault, Carlson, Smith. You got to learn how to spell if you're going to be playing hockey. And I'm doing shorthand just for the speed and for space savings. But Marchessault, Carlson, Riley Smith, Theodore are your kind of that top stack. Pacioretty, Stastny, Stone, Theodore again. But you could mix with Engelland and McNabb. McNabb's a pretty active value defenseman. He just doesn't factor into a lot of the scoring right now. Might get lucky, might get an assist, might get a goal, something like that. But cheaper price and a lot of activity for shots on goal and block shots floor, and that can help boost that stack a little bit or stabilize that stack. So these are the ideas, these are the thoughts for tonight. 14 minutes, I lied, it wasn't under 10, but we're under 15 minutes. So I'm going to remind you, use coupon code CHOP, CHOP, trigger the 20% discount. Get in, get out, get your hockey started, and come inside and unlock the Domination Station Optimizer tool that allows you to do controlled stacking by player name as well as non-controlled stacking by teams and percentages, and of course control everything from there. It's the best optimizer going right now. We're still working with the learning curve on it, but to be honest with you, it gives us the most customizability that anything I've ever seen out there in the industry so far. Not going to say that everybody else stinks, but I'm going to say this one is absolutely more specific and allows you to do more of what you want to do than any other optimizer I've ever used. It has a learning curve. It takes some time to set up. You're going to need some tutorials. We're going to be working on those later too. Whew, out of breath. Come in and see us, dfsarmy.com. I'm your buddy Chop It On. Hopefully you guys have a great night of hockey. Take care.